This is Adverse Childhood Experiences, presented by ICANN. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are rooted in childhood trauma. Childhood trauma compromises neurological development and increases risk for immediate and long-term adverse health outcomes. The term ACEs originated in a 1998 Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and Kaiser Permanente study that documented significant associations between ACEs and negative health outcomes. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention describes the social determinants of health as the conditions in which people are born, grow, work, live, and age, and the wider set of these forces and systems shaping the conditions of daily life. Some social determinants of health are education access and quality, economic stability, social and community context, neighborhood and built environment, and healthcare access and quality. ACEs and social determinants of health are closely linked. Some social determinants of health can be a source of childhood adversity and toxic stress, like experiencing housing insecurity or homelessness. The social conditions that a person or family experiences can shape or mitigate the pile-up of stress. Stress is the body's response to the demands encountered on a daily basis throughout one's life. It is related to both positive experiences and negative ones. Childhood toxic stress is severe, prolonged, or repetitive adversity with a lack of the necessary nurturance and support of a caregiver to prevent an abnormal stress response. The stress level bell curve shows that if we have too little stress in our lives, then we might be inactive or laid back. While if we have too much stress, we might start to experience fatigue, exhaustion, anxiety, or even a complete mental break when we reach our limits of stress. Toxic stress keeps us on the upper end of this curve and changes the way our bodies handle and process the stress that it receives. Nearly 65% of all adults have experienced at least one ACE in their lifetime. That number drops to half when looking at kids aged 0 through 17. This chart shows the breakdown of all Americans and how many ACEs they have experienced. We see that 12% have experienced more than 4 ACEs in their life, while only 36% haven't experienced any. Exploring our own ACEs. Reflecting on our own childhood experiences can help us understand the impact ACEs can have on children. Take time to consider any adverse experiences you may have faced during your own childhood and how they have affected you. There are 10 original ACEs, and they are broken down into 3 groups: abuse, neglect, and household instability. Abuse term is broken down into 3 different aspects: physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Neglect has 2 ACEs that are attributed to it: physical and emotional neglect, while household instability has 5: mental illness within the house, an incarcerated relative, your mother being treated violently, substance abuse by an individual in your household, and divorce. The 5 community ACEs are ACEs that affect our community and therefore affect the individual within it. They were discovered and added to the ACEs discussion after the original 10. The 5 community ACEs are economic hardship, community violence, bullying, foster care, and discrimination, whether that be racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism, any form of discrimination. Let's take a second to understand the impact of childhood trauma. ACEs can have a profound and lasting effect on a child's mental, physical, or emotional health. Research shows a strong correlation between ACEs and negative health outcomes later in life, including chronic diseases, mental health disorders, and substance abuse. Adverse experiences during childhood can alter brain development and increase the risk for stress-related health problems as well. The impact of ACEs starts during childhood and continues as kids become adolescents and adults. Kids with high ACE scores are more likely to experience anxiety and depression as children, developmental delays, including negative cognitive and socio-emotional health issues, academic challenges, behavioral health issues, and specialized health needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a pyramid model of how our brains view our needs and their priorities. No step can be acquired before the step that is immediately before it. For example, a child with no food or water cannot be concerned about their own safety or security. If a child feels safe, they can then worry about the relationships and friends that they keep and form, but only after they feel safe. In order for a child to achieve self-actualization, they must first have all other needs met on the pyramid. This figure shows us Oneida County statistics on the living situation of youth and their likelihood of having experienced an ACE. The statistics show that a child living alone or with a friend have significantly higher likelihoods of experiencing ACEs. That is the top line of the chart, followed in descending order by living with father only, group homes or foster homes, mother only, mother part of the time, father part of the time, a parent and a step-parent, a parent and their partner, with relatives, and finally with both parents. Across the bottom are different criteria, like has your family been homeless in the past year? Have you been physically abused by a date? Do you feel safe at home? Do you feel safe at school? Or are you being forced to do something that you don't want to do? We can see that across all groups, feeling safe at school is the response that most children struggle to identify with. If we think back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we can see that for these students who struggle to even feel safe at school, there's almost no possibility of achieving self-actualization and success while in a place that does not meet the safety needs of that child. This chart shows the Oneida County statistics on ACEs and the number of them that students who took the survey had. We see that roughly 65% of kids in Oneida County have experienced at least one ACE in their life, with around 20% of kids experiencing more than one. 4 or more ACEs puts an individual at high risk for toxic stress. And as we can see, there are some students here that have 4 or more. How we respond to children who have experienced an ACE is of great importance. Firstly, we can use primary prevention to try and protect the child from experiencing ACEs in the first place, being conscious of what we do and how we interact with our children. We can mitigate the exposure to ACEs. If the child has already been exposed, it is best to try to mitigate the exposure and make the experience less traumatic. Lastly, we can get treatment for our children that have experienced ACEs, bringing them to a professional, getting them the treatment they need to work through a traumatic experience. It's always okay to ask for help and to seek professional advice if you feel that that's what's best. What should you do as a parent or caregiver? Firstly, we can give affection. Let them know that we care and that we're here for them. Next, we can get help to work through our own ACEs. They often carry lifelong repercussions and effects. We can also always ask for help if we need it. It is so important to know when we're in over our heads and when we need help. Asking for help is never a sign of weakness or dependability. Everybody needs help from time to time. We can provide calm and predictable days and schedules for the kids who need it, bringing stability to their tumultuous lives. And finally, we can find a counselor for ourselves or our children who have been affected by an ACE. Thank you for watching. I've been Cody Keeler for ICANN, and I hope to see you in person May 13th at General Herkimer. Thank you.